Oh, the much maligned bass guitar player. Historically, in many subgenres of rock, this is where you would hide your least proficient member. Just keep in mind that Paul Simonon from The Clash had only been playing bass for 6 weeks prior to them going into studio recording their debut album. But prog rock is not like that. There's no hiding in a prog rock band. Every member's got to be good at what they do, or else it sticks out like a sore thumb. So today, we're going to talk about the 25 best prog rock bass players. And being that this is prog, there's a few people that I'm not going to mention on the list. I just want to run through real quick. A lot of great jazz players aren't going to make the list. Percy Jones, Stanley Clarke, the great Jaco Pastorius, Jeff Berlin, Marcus Miller, Charles Mingus, Ron Carter, and then there's some rock guys. John Paul Jones isn't going to be on here. You're not going to see Billy Sheehan on here. Steve Harris, John Entwistle, Paul McCartney, Jack Bruce, Bootsy Collins. I also want to give a quick shout out to Roger Glover, also not on the list. A couple prog guys. The last two guys I left off were Brian Beller and Tony Reeves from Coliseum. But we're going to start with number 25, and it's Nick Beggs. The man needs no introduction to modern prog fans. Started his career in Kajagoogoo. He has gone on to become one of the centerpieces of modern prog, playing with Steven Wilson, Steve Hackett, Gary Newman. He's got his own band, the Mute Gods. He's also in Life Signs. He put out this jazz fusion album called Trifecta last year. He's everywhere. He's amazing. At number 24, we're keeping it modern, but we're going to Norway. And Kristian Hultgren from Wobbler. This is a vintage guy. He loves his Chris Squire sounds. He plays a 1973 Rickenbacker 4001. Good for him. I guess he grew up learning how to play saxophone, so he's also proficient at clarinet and flute, which comes in handy when you're in a prog band, that he can, be that multi-instrumentalist that they need. At number 23, we're taking it a little heavier, and we're going with Jon Myung from Dream Theater. John was born January 24th, 1967. He grew up listening to the Beatles and Iron Maiden and Yes and Genesis and Rush. So is it any wonder that he's so amazing? I don't think so. He's a Korean American, obviously best known for his work with Dream Theater. He was a childhood friend of John Petrucci, and then when he went to Berkeley, the two of them met up with Mike Portnoy, and as they say, the rest is history. At number 22, it's Roger Waters. Does he deserve to be here? I think he does. Is he technically the most, proficient guy? Is he going to blow you away with bass guitar pyrotechnics? Probably not, but his bass tone was always so sweet. The notes he selects, always right on the money. He's known, obviously, for his great work with Pink Floyd, but his solo albums are good, too. These days, you probably know him better from all his activism and all the controversies he tends to find himself in. He's a guy that's never going to keep his mouth shut. We wouldn't want it any other way. At number 21, a guy that a lot of people have been talking about here lately, it's Colin Edwin. Where's Waldo, right? Where's Colin on the new Porcupine Tree album? He's been there for every one of their albums. He was born in Australia, moved to the UK where he met Steven Wilson, joined Porcupine Tree. If you're missing his bass guitar work on the new Porcupine Tree album, I implore you to check out the two latest albums from the great instrumental Italian prog rock band Armonite, where his bass playing graces both of those albums and takes it to a whole different level. They're both amazing records. At number 20, it's John Glascock. Yeah. We know him primarily from Jethro Tull, but before that, he was the bass man for the great band Carmen, who were really a cool flamenco prog band. But yeah, obviously his work with Jethro Tull is what we're going to remember him from. He was getting real sick during the Stormwatch tour and died shortly thereafter, which was a big bummer for Barrymore Barlow, who was really good friends with John. He quit Jethro Tull shortly thereafter. John Glascock, just an amazing bass player. Totally deserves to be on this list at number 19. Yeah, I'm going with Randy George. Why not? This guy doesn't get any love whatsoever. When we talk about the great bass players of past and present, for some reason we always forget about Randy George. We first found out about this guy. He was in a Christian rock band called Ajalon that was signed by Rick Wakeman and his new record label he started up. But we know him primarily from Neil Morris and the Neil Morris Band. This guy can play everything. He can play funky. He can play downright dirty. He can play more straightforward. He's just an incredible player that gets no respect. I love his style. I love his tone. Randy, yeah, you deserve to be here. At number 18. We're going to Poland with Mariusz Duda, born September 25th, 1975. So he's one of the youngsters on this list. Yeah, we know him from Riverside, but he's doing a lot of solo work too. And those Lunatic Soul albums, his body of work demands that he be on this list. I love what he does. He plays the bass guitar in a real stylistically unique way. He deserves to be on this list, absolutely. At number 17, it's Dave Meros from Spock's Beard, born February 8th, 1956 in Salinas, California. He grew up learning how to play the French horn and the tuba and the trombone and the trumpet and all those kind of instruments. He played with the Eric Burden Band. I guess that's where he met Neil Morse. So Spock's Beard is what he's primarily known for. But he did some work in Iron Butterfly for like 6 years. And now he is the bass player for the great Pattern Seeking Animals. All three of those records are amazing. Yeah, Dave Meros, incredible. At number 16, let's go old school. It's Richard Sinclair. Yeah, he was the guitar player in the Wild Flowers. Hugh Hopper was the bass player. So when he helped form Caravan, there were already, multiple guitar players. He needed to play bass in that band. So he switched to bass, played with them through to the Waterloo Lily album. And then he went on to form Hatfield in the North. He played on Robert Wyatt's Rock Bottom album. He was in National Health for a minute. He played on a couple Camel albums. This is Dave Sinclair's cousin. If you're a Canterbury fan, Richard Sinclair needs absolutely no introduction. At number 15, it's Pete Trewavas from Marillion, Edison's Children, Keno, and Transatlantic. Pete was born January 15th, 1959, joined Marillion in 82, I think, just in time for the Market Square Heroes EP to come out. He's been with them ever since. He was an important part of the great supergroup Transatlantic, and this is why Pete is on the list. His work with Marillion is really subtle, and you really don't notice what he's doing a whole lot. But in Transatlantic, Pete just takes it to the next level. And if you look at the guys he's playing with in Transatlantic, the fact that Pete may be the most impactful member of that band speaks to his incredible genius. At number 14, it's Dave Pegg. Yeah, we got a second Jethro Tull bass player on this list, but Dave is probably better known for his lifelong commitment to Fairport Convention. His work with them is just amazing, but he was on quite a few Jethro Tull albums. He was on From A to Roots to Branches, so that weird period of Jethro Tull's history is Dave Pegg. He's an amazing player. He did play one song on Stormwatch, but this guy got his start in a band called Way of Life. He was playing with a couple guys you might know by the name of Robert Plant and John Bonham. Yeah, Dave Pegg, incredible player. At number 13, it's Jon Camp from Renaissance. Yeah, he was not on their first two albums. That was a whole different version of the band. But when I almost said Annie Lennox. Annie Haslam joined the band. He was there too. And towards the end of his time in Renaissance, he became the main creative force behind the band, the main songwriting force for the band. But, I love this guy because he made me think of Chris Squire every time he played. He played that Rickenbacker with the Rotosound strings. So he was on 9 albums for Renaissance, 10 if you include the live album. Incredible. After he left Renaissance, I don't really know what he did. If he's been still doing stuff in music, I have no idea, but he was great. At number 12, it's the aforementioned Hugh Hopper. Yeah, he started with the Wildflowers and then went on to Soft Machine. He was actually their original manager. So when Kevin Ayers left, he joined the band as their bass player. After he left after Soft Machine 6, he later went on to play in Gong, Isotope, and some Soft Machine revival called Polysoft. But Hugh Hopper is the real deal, man. If you want to hear some really great jazz rock bass playing, Hugh Hopper is just dynamite. At number 11, we're going to Can in Germany, the great Polish musician Holger Czukay from Can. Oh yeah, he's just so much more than a bass player. This guy's brain was just working overtime all the time. You think about all the amazing stuff Can did, and Holger is a big part of that. He was born in 1938 in Gdansk. I guess at the time it was the free city of Danzig. At the time, he went to a Karl Stockhausen's academy to learn about atonal music and stuff like that. At that time, he became introduced to the Beatles and Frank Zappa and Velvet Underground. So you put all of that stuff in a big stew, stir it up a little bit. You got Can and Holger Czukay. Wow, just amazing. And now we're into the top 10, boys and girls. At number 10 is the great Jonas Reingold. This guy here was born in 1969 in Malmö, Sweden. He's played with everybody. If you look at a modern prog rock album, there's a 50% chance Jonas is playing bass on it. He's played with the Flower Kings. He's played with Steve Hackett. He's played with the Tangent. He's played with the Sea Within. He's played with Kaipa. He's played with Car Mechanic. The list goes on and on and on. He can play everything from the fretless, jazzy style to the ballsy Chris Squire style. Yeah, Jonas Reingold can do it all. I love this guy. He's been getting a lot of really good work in with Steve Hackett, so I'm really proud of him that he got that gig. At number 9, it's Michael Rutherford. And this guy is not a pure bass player, obviously. He plays guitar. He played a lot of 12-string guitar in early Genesis. He became the guitar player for 3-man Genesis after Hackett left. But, Michael Rutherford gets a free pass, not just because he was in Genesis, but also his songwriting. I mean, the main riff of Apocalypse 9/8, that's Michael Rutherford wrote that, people. Yeah, that's all I need to know. Born October 2nd, 1950, from Chertsey, England. He started playing guitar when he was 8. He went to the Charterhouse School in 1964, where he met Anthony Phillips. A couple years later, another band was at Charterhouse, and they were led by Tony Banks and Peter Gabriel. So those two bands collided, and we got Genesis. Thank God for Genesis. Yeah, he's known for his bass playing and his 12-string playing, but to me, I will always think of Michael Rutherford and the unaccompanied bass pedal solo. At number 8, it's Les Claypool. Yeah, is Primus 100% prog? Yeah, probably not, but they are touring on the strength of Rush's A Farewell to Kings, so that's pretty prog to me. He went to school with Kirk Hammett, which I did not know. As I was researching this list, I just found that out. So as a result, when Cliff Burton died in 1986, Les was invited to audition, and apparently James Hetfield said that he was just way too good for Metallica. He needs to do his own thing. Oh, yeah. If you're wondering about his Prog bona fides, perhaps check out Oysterhead with Trey Anastasio and Stuart Copeland. Or maybe you need to look at the Clayton Lennon Delirium with Sean Lennon and him doing stuff with the drummer for Cake. And it's real proggy stuff. I love it. At number 7, it's Tony Levin, the man that basically invented that Chapman stick. I know he didn't invent it, but he was the first guy I ever saw playing it. I was like, what in the world is this? You know, it was like in 1981 when I heard Discipline, I had no idea who Tony Levin was, but man, this guy had a pedigree behind him way before he joined King Crimson. He was with Herbie Mann for years. He was in Peter Gabriel's band. And then, of course, the King Crimson stuff. He played with Yes and Anderson, Bruford, Waitman, Howe, Liquid Tension Experiment, Steven Wilson, The Stickmen, Carly Simon, Don McLean, Lou Reed, Alice Cooper, Judy Collins, Phoebe Snow, Chuck Mangione, Ringo Starr, Laura Nero, Art Garfunkel, and oh yeah, he also played on Double Fantasy with John Lennon. Tony Levin is a man that needs absolutely no introduction to the bass playing community. Oh, did I also mention that he's played with Brian Ferry, Joan Armatrading, Tom Waits, Peter Frampton, Robbie Robertson, Cher, Warren Zevon, Bonnie Tyler, Richie Sambora, Tracy Chapman, David Bowie, Richard Thompson, Paula and Natalie Cole, Brandon Flowers, Asia Indigo Girls, James Taylor, Stevie Nicks. Are you sold yet? It's Tony Levin, y'all. At number 6, boys and girls, I bring to you Ray Shulman, the younger of the 3 Shulman brothers. Yeah, they were all Scottish. The 2 older brothers were born in Scotland, but Ray was actually born in Portsmouth. I guess the family had moved to England. This is a guy that's known for his bass playing, but he can play violin, trumpet, and you check out some of those videos where he and Gary Green are playing acoustic guitar together, duetting. Oh, this is the most underrated guy on my list, without a doubt. Ray's bass playing is just so perfect and it's so tasty. And then when you realize that dude co-wrote almost all of Gentle Giant's material, why aren't we talking about Ray Shulman as one of the greatest bass players of all time? Why? It makes no sense. Oh, wait a second, we are. At number 5, we're going to Finland and Pekka Pohjola. Man, this guy gets no love. The great wigwam bass man. Oh, yeah, he plays a jazzy style in a rock band. He's born in 1952 in Helsinki, played on those first few Wigwam albums, and then he went solo. He caught the attention of Richard Branson, who hooked him up with Mike Oldfield. The first 2 Pekka solo albums were on Virgin Records. This guy was supposed to be huge. It never happened for him, which is just too bad, because if you look at Ferryport, Being, and those first 2 Pekka Pohjola solo albums, this guy is just a monster and more than deserving of a spot in the top 5. At number 4, R.I.P. John Wetton, who left us in 2017. He was born in 1949 in Willington. The family moved to Bournemouth shortly thereafter. If you want a brief history, what John Wetton has done, what his career looked like, he started out with Richard Palmer James in some bands, which is interesting because later on he would go on to form Supertramp, and Wetton and him would hook up later on for some of the great King Crimson albums where Richard would write lyrics. He was in an early version of Renaissance. He played with Gordon Haskell in 1971, presaging his time in King Crimson, perhaps. He played in Family. He played in Roxy Music. He played in Uriah Heep. He played in UK, obviously. He played in Asia, obviously. He also played in Wishbone Ash for a year. John Wetton. Some of the scariest, nastiest bass tones you'll ever hear coming out of that man's bass. Just love it. At number 3. Another R.I.P. Greg Lake left us in 2016. He's born 1947 in Poole. 9 months after Keith Emerson died, we lost him. He was a very private man. A lot of people didn't even know he was sick. He married his high school sweetheart, Regina, in 1974, and they had been together ever since. They had one daughter. Greg Lake, man. From King Crimson to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, forget about it. His tone, just incredible. He could play everything. Just massively amazing talent. I miss him so much. Greg Lake, dude. Hey, we got one that's alive here at number 2. It's Geddy Lee from Rush. Yeah, I love Rush. I love Geddy. Man, when I saw Rush, I was so blown away by Geddy. Yeah, Alex was great. Neil was great, But it was Geddy that my eyeballs were on all night long. Playing the keyboards with one hand, playing the bass with the other hand, singing, playing bass pedals. The guy was just a consummate musician, such a great professional. I love his bass playing. I love the fact that he pays homage to the greats of yesteryear, but he still has his own style. Yeah, obviously he listened to a ton of Entwistle, he listened to a ton of Squire, he listened to a ton of McCartney, but he came up with his own style, and it's just incredible. I love Geddy, I love Rush, but if you guys are keeping track, if you're keeping score, you know who's number 1. Christopher Russell Edward Squire. Born in 1948. He left us in 2015. He was born in Kingsbury. And he met up with Andrew Jackman early on, and they were really into choir stuff. That was his first love. Later on, Jackman would help Chris with his first and only solo album, Fish Out of Water. Chris went on to form The Sin, and then he went on to be a founding member of Yes. You don't need to know anything else. The greatest bass player of all time was the Fish. It was the mighty Chris Squire. No one comes close. No one comes close. Sorry. It's an open and shut case. There is no debate. It's Chris Squire, number 1 for absolute sure. And, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, y'all. I know you do. I know I missed a bunch, but half of the fun of doing these is reading those comments and see, oh man, why'd I forget that guy? Oh, I'm an idiot. Anyway, we did it. Yeah, we've done the guitar players, we've done the drummers, we've done the keyboard players, and now we've done the bass players. I'll do the vocalists maybe next week or something like that. And maybe we'll actually have a female or 2 make our list. Then that'd be great. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm Scott from the Prog Corner, and you have a great week. Peace.